Hello everybody, Всем привет. So today I'm going to talk about making the heroes seaworthy. And actually this was a bad map to choose because we don't actually have any ship stuff on that. So the first one is the multiplayer map. I still don't quite know how to pronounce this correctly in English, even though I'm a native English speaker. Archipelago, archipelago, I don't know, archipelago I think is correct, but it might be archipelago. I don't know. Archipelago, I think. That's what I'm gonna go with. So if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm an idiot in the comments. But I think it's archipelago. Um, so anyway, we go into this level and we can build a shipyard because we are close enough to to a body of water. So nothing really happens on the outside. Um, and what I haven't done, I actually have done it in this build, and I'm going to show you in a second, but what I hadn't done was add the ability to build a new ship. You know, essentially it's a recruit dialog or a build dialog, depending on how you process it. I have the ship window layout here, which I can pull up in my hex editor quickly. Let's just have a quick look at what's inside the ship window and where we go from there. So just need a second to pull up this file because it's all the way deep inside the Heroes AGG. So this is the ship wind, and it's got a buy build ICN, and that's basically this this box around the edge. Then it says build a new ship here, so we see that, so we know we're in the right window, and it uses big font. Resource cost, it also shows that, but there's this other reference here, and then it says boat 32 ICN. Okay, so boat 32 ICN. Well, let's go have a look at what's in boat 32 ICN. There it is. So these are all the different sprites of the ship, but it chose to use that one. Now, which one did it choose? It chose, well, I mean, it doesn't, you don't see anything in the ASCII decoded hex, but we can just look at the values, and this is 1A. So A in hex is 10, and 1 means 16. So this is 16 plus 10. So that is this this sprite right here, and that actually looks, to my eye, that looks pretty similar to exactly this one. This one here doesn't have quite the same waves underneath it, or the same curvature of the sail. So again, we've got the ship wind determined there, and then it tells us which resource ICNs to use for wood and gold. And then some system ICNs for the OK and cancel. So what I like to do for these is I've decoded some of the bin dialog format. Okay, it's not going to let me preview that, but basically a lot of these windows I've decoded them, or just kind of thrown them into the AI and said, hey, why don't you try and decode this file for me? Here's some examples of other similar window files. And usually it's able to pull out most of the XY offsets. I've had pretty good luck doing this. Even some of the ones that I manually adjusted in the past, and like before I figured out how to do this, I've been able to go back and correct some of those. And it's like, oh, it's approximately this, but actually you're off by like 4 pixels here, 8 pixels here. You know, you're spot on here, you're off by 2 pixels here. So it's cool that that I'm able to essentially read those files. I wish there was a slightly more structured way to do it, but I'm not going to bother with it right now. You know, at some point that could be a project, but it's pretty low on the totem pole, because it's, you know, having a functional dialog box, it's like function over form. is a design principle I'm adhering to. So if it works and it looks okay, that's kind of good enough is how I'm going. Now, to a purist, that might sound cringe. I understand, but there's just so much to do that these are like little polish things that I can go back and do at the very end. I mean, I did have that approach when I was decoding a lot of the images. I was like, oh, let's just get it close. If there's a little bit of noise here or there, we'll worry about it later. And that did come back and bite me a couple times. Like I wasted a bunch of energy rebuilding the heroes animation sprites for the battle. I wasted a bunch of energy chasing down the monochrome shadows. It's in this case, I think it's less likely to come back and bite me in the backside, but we'll just see. We'll see. So anyway, I dumped in a lot of my files, a number of documentation files too, like map format recruit, which is where I recruit creatures. It's kind of a similar dialogue. Dialog utils is very important because that's essentially this this buy build box is part of that. Sorry, render utils and render map is important because we're going to be putting a ship outside of the castle. And you'll notice that the ship kind of just bleeds over onto land here. And that's actually from these sprites. So which one is that? Probably this one's probably 18 is what's there. So anyway, this is the prompt I throw in there. So I want to build a ship. Dialogue when clicking on the ship and explain all this. We disable it if you can't afford it. In this case, my hero can afford the ship. Let's just see. This is what ended up being created with my first pass. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's see. So, not viewable on the castle screen. Yeah, so when the hero builds the ship, there's nothing here that changes. I know in like Heroes 3, a ship appears in this animation screen if there's a ship in the harbor. I don't remember if that happens in Heroes 2 or not. I would need somebody to remind me of that. But in Heroes 1, it does not. So, but it does appear outside the castle. And if it is outside the castle, you're not able to build a new ship. So the ship is placed on the nearest water tile to the castle entrance, and the building sound is played when the ship is purchased or built from the shipyard. And then I describe the dialog box from that ship wind that we just looked at, and I highlight that this is 001A, which is sprite 26 of boat 32. So I give it a good start for that. I give it a verbal description of what's in that box, which I basically gave you guys earlier when we looked at both the image and the shipwind.bin file in the hex decoder. So yeah, building a ship costs 10 gold, 10 wood. It should be unclickable if the hero can't afford to build a boat. The OK button should be unclickable and displayed with the depressed OK button if the hero already has built a boat and it remains in the harbor. The nearest water location to the castle is where a boat sprite on the adventure screen would be located. If cancel's clicked, we just return to the cancel screen. If OK is clicked, we deduct 10 gold or 1,000 gold and 10 wood from the castle treasury, and a boat is created outside the castle. And so see that screenshot up here with the boat outside the castle. And then we'll need to load the boat 32 ICN. So we need to load all of these sprites are going to be needed. We're going to need to load these because we're going to use them now. So we need to put these in resources.cpp. That's where I load all the images and everything. And it'll be placed on the water tile nearest the castle entrance on the map. So that's what I started with. It goes through, does a whole bunch of stuff, takes a long time, creates a shipyard dialog file, and then modifies resources. So it adds in the sprites. It adds in the sprites for boat 32. Map.h adds a boat state, so it tracks like where, you know, just some useful stuff for the boat, like find the nearest water tile. And that's in map and map CBP. Castle screen has basically some click hit boxes for like dock sprite hit and draw shipyard dialog. These are the main things that change in the castle screen where we are here. So we build those out. Render map is where we're going to render those boat sprites and actually create the thing. And then there's a whole bunch of minor changes here in the game main where we're capturing any dialogue that, you know, while you're doing this, you can't click elsewhere. And then if I hit the escape button, for example, it should close this, which it did. And draw shipyard dialog is what actually draws this. Tent and castle sprite checks also guard against shipyard consumed. So we're not able to click on a castle or a tent here if this is open. And then this actually does something with rendering. I don't remember what that means, but so anyway, I got a minor compile error about something, and then let's see if we build this. Let's see where, yeah. So this is the same error that we had here. So this was our first attempt. This was our one shot, and we're able to build a boat, but it's on the nearest water tile, which is part of the, like, it's behind the castle. So oops. Oops. And there's also no there's no quick menu. Like, I've done the quick menus for a lot of things now. So that's cool that I've done that, but there's nothing for the ship. So first of all, we're going to expand the ship dialog box by one more spacer, because in here we see now we can't. This works correctly. We needed just another spacer here because build a new ship is hidden by this text right there. So I want to add another spacer. Also, the AI likes to do this like default black box on there, and I just go in and manually remove it now. Literally every dialog box I generate with AI, it loves to do that. So somebody somewhere in something that was heavily training the AI always put some kind of like default background box. And I'm sorry, this this beautiful buy build ICN that was prepared by New World Computing back in 1995, I just think that looks better. So I try to get rid of that every time I can. And here I wanted to leave like kind of the one shot response here, just with its fun bugs, just to show people. So anyway, so we're going to expand that box, and then when placing the ship, we want to place on the nearest water tile to the entrance that is in the row below the castle entrance. As I previously said, the nearest water tile to the entrance, but that results in the defect shown in the picture where a ship is behind the castle, which isn't quite right. So the row below the castle entrance is where the boat should be placed. And, you know, the I may have to tune that logic a little bit more and say start here, or I have to figure, there's probably a slightly better algorithm for where the actual port is. We'll figure that out later. Also, the quick info for the ship should be ship if the ship is empty, and it should be the hero info if there's a hero in the ship. Now this is the hero info. I need to review my layout here also for I have quickinfo.bin for the layout, because you can see my creatures, they're overflowing outside of the box, and there's a little too much space here between these between the text of the hero stats. So this needs a little bit of work with box layout, but that's what I was saying. It's like functional for now, so I'm gonna fix it later. It doesn't take long to fix these, but it's just some more work. And anyway, so I gave it that prompt, goes through comes up with some improvements, and I think I liked it because I asked it to write me the markdown file for the documentation after that. So let's see what we got here with our next one. So we will go to Archipelago. Okay, when I first got this game, I was probably like, I don't know, 14 or 15, and I would call this Archipelago because I had never seen that word before. This was probably the first time I had seen that word in my life. From a landlocked area, we don't have a string of islands, which is what that word means in English for those of you who are not native English speakers. So we've got gem, and we're going to build a boat. And yeah, we have the boat here. It's building a little further away than I would expect. I would actually expect it to be here. But it's close. And then let's go back and let's check the quick info on this. So it says ship. Okay, I like that. Now, am I able to board the ship? No, not yet. So I guess I added my ship stuff to recruit.md. And then I decided, oh, hey, you know what? I should add this thing, summon boat. I have all of the other spells created. Let's see if we can do summon boat. So it's the adventure spell. It's spell number 12 on my list of spells. Summons the nearest friendly empty boat to caster's location. The hero must be within 1 to 2 tiles of water for it to work. If not, the standard dialog box, summon boat failed with an OK button. If there are no empty boats, it will also fail. This is a different definition. I think I borrowed this from the Acid Cave website about Heroes 1. You know, I've found a handful of errors on their website, like the genie percentage, the number of squares that the warlock gets is 6 and not 7. The number of visible squares that the warlock gets. So I guess I mean like the scouting radius of the warlock is 6 and not 7, like what they said. And then there's also some things I question about the percentage of magic resistance on some things, and they may be right on that. I think that they're wrong, at least according to the documentation for the game, where like the manual says that genies have a 10% chance of destroying half the enemy troop stack, and I think they say it's 20. And they could be right that that's actually what's in the binary of the game that someone decoded. But I did test the warlock radius of like scouting, and that one I actually was able to verify is only 6, whereas most normal heroes get 5. Anyway, moving back to this, we're working on summon boats. So the boat needs to manage the state of the player who last used it or built it. If it's neutral in the map, it should be -1. A player can board another ship, and it would overwrite this value of last boat owner. So you can like steal someone's boat, but you can't summon someone else's boat unless your hero takes it over first. So if your hero like entered their boat and then left the boat, then some other hero on the other side of the world could summon it potentially. But it also summons the nearest one, so it could steal it from somebody else if there's not an available boat. And I have to kind of verify some of this because there's also the documentation and there's what actually works in the game. And then when a boat is built, it should set the player owner to last boat owner to be the current player that built it. And then can we add this adventure spell and also the last boat owner state for each boat object in the map. So goes through, makes some changes. Last player, summon boat fail dialog, deferred change, a proximity check to water, boat search to find the boat that we can summon. What happens on success, what happens on failure. And then it also said that failure charge is untouched. And I said, no, that's not right. It should still charge you when it fails. So give me the line to change and I'll make the change manually. So I made this change, and then update spellbook, please. So it doesn't update the spellbook. And let's see what we have here for summon boat. So this one might take a little while to actually build the structures we need, but we'll start off with the Mage Guild because we need to get summon boat in the Mage Guild. That's the RNG we're dependent on for double. Okay, we got it. That is a good roll. Somebody rolled a 20. Okay, so let's go over here, and did I get summon boat? Yeah. So it moved it there. That's cool. So summon boat was working. Now we're still not able to walk into the boat. So let's have a look at that. And also, you know, the boat's only facing this way, so I need to adjust like that it should be like facing the hero on the landmass, and maybe this could be like one tile closer. So there's a little bit of tuning of the actual like boat locations, but you know, I'm calling this a nice victory already. So we've got that. I'm going to just pull up a different. I've got one more menu here where we need to look at something. So we have ship boarding and sea navigation system. This is what we want to work on next. So the next thing is actually getting on the ship. So we need to change our cursor. So if we go in here to adventure mice, we have a bunch of cursors. So we're using cursor 6 to board the ship. And then when you want to like resettle on land, you'll end up with this anchor tile here like this. So those are snapshots from the real game, the actual original version, DOS 1.2. And then we have our events.md, hero movements. I'm dropping in some of that stuff. I'm dropping in new day as well, and quick info. New day because we need to reset the boat movements. Like when you step into a boat, you lose all your movements, but like movement points. And when you step onto land from a boat, you lose all your movement points that were remaining, but those need to be reset at the new day cycle. Quick info, we also want to be able to view hero info in the boats. So hero has movement points. They can treat the ship as a pickup tile. Like a pickup tile means that the hero's next to it and has the X on it, and then like the hero doesn't walk on to the ship tile. I have a walk on tile versus a pickup tile. So the hero doesn't walk onto the ship. The hero stands next to it and uses their X target to like disappear into the boat. So that I'm explaining this board ship click here. And then we have a ship anchor mouse cursor that I'm explaining is 007. And then you can only board or exit a ship once per day. It uses all your movement points. The points are reset. And then we compute the new movement points if you have the astrolabe. I think that's how that's pronounced. Not a sailor. Astrolabe. I think it's astrolabe. And the lighthouse. I don't know what that is. Lighthouse bonus, traveler's compass bonus. Sorceress gets 2x the base level when the next day cycle runs. Now, I had done this a long time ago, so I think it is just going to work fine, but I'm still just mentioning it again so the game doesn't like overwrite it or do something weird. Similarly, if a hero is aboard a ship and uses the anchor cursor to target land, they move there. Their movement points are reduced to 0, and then that gets reset. And then I go through those boat ICN sprites here, or the boat 32 ICN sprites. So I say, okay, well, the first 8 are north, 9 to 17 are northeast, 18 to 26 are east, southeast, south. And then I explain northwest, west, and southwest also, just to be thorough. We also have these are the boat flags here that are animated. I just said, there's a base of these at 0, 9, 18, 27, 36, and then there's 8 animation frames per. The audio for W sound 20 and W sound 26 through is the sound of the ship movement. And that's similar to how the horse's hooves play. So I'm also dumping in, like, I think hero animation is here, this is like my animating the hero logic. And so I'm going to basically do something similar for the ship, because the ship sprite has basically replaced the hero, but we're also going to do the same thing for the audio, which is this water sound 20 to 26. I want the hero to be able to board the ship as a pickup tile event, have their movement points drop to 0. The quick info for the ship should be updated to show the hero in the ship when you board, or when they board. What used to be shown for the quick info of the hero when you clicked on the hero should now be shown for the hero when they are on board the ship. New movement points are granted to the hero in the ship on the next new day cycle. And then when the hero is on board the ship, they should be able to navigate so long as they have movement points, and routing should work on water only. They cannot sail on land tiles. When they board the ship, they claim ownership of the ship, even if it was created by or last used by an enemy. This means they can now use summon boat when it is empty, assuming another hero has not boarded it since and claimed it as their own. There's a ship owner state that needs to be updated when the hero enters the boat each time, and it does not change when a hero leaves the boat, only on entry. And then when the hero's landing the boat, the anchor cursor that only highlights non-water land tiles that are not occupied by a monster, artifact, treasure chest, resource, or other impassable object. They also lose all remaining movement points on water and have to wait until a new day cycle runs to refresh their movement points. A boat sailing into the whirlpool event, which is AC, functions nearly the same as the Stonelit's 0xA9. It will play the sound Heroes 25.82M in sound and warp to another random whirlpool on the map. And there's a 1/3 chance of losing 50% of the weakest army stack that a hero has. So if you only have one creature, it's not going to eliminate your creature because it's rounded down. So if you just had like a dragon, you're not going to lose your one dragon because it's rounded down. But if you have a bunch of peasants, you got a 1/3 chance of losing half of them rounded down. So that's pretty much the boat movement, and I wanted to present full files and not patches. So it starts going down some weird direction, or no, it's asking for sound.h because I didn't include sound.h. It's asking, do you have sound.h that you can share? And I'm like, sure, here you go. So also the ship is destroyed. I don't know where you got the, so if a hero is defeated, if a ship is killed in battle, the ship should be restored at the last hero's water tile or destroyed, blah, blah, blah. I'll default to restoring it because HOMM1 original restores the ship. That's not true at all. That's just AI hallucinations, whatever. I just stopped it when I read that and was like, nope, it absolutely does not. The ship is destroyed if lost in a hero versus hero fight, and the kill fade sound is played. Also, hero on land can attack a hero on a ship like a pickup tile, and the battle would take place on the boat. So we've got all this. Made a whole bunch of changes. A lot of changes, a lot of files, a couple of compile errors. A couple things, a couple more compile errors. All right, and then my comment there is this worked relatively well. Well, let's have a look. Here we go. So we'll go to archipelago. And let's build a shipyard. Okay, we are not able to enter here. This one also says fixed dimension door, and summon boat. So maybe this is too early. Maybe I was doing some work on fixing dimension door. This one says boat working. So maybe I missed something where I was working on improving summon boat and dimension door. Let's just skip that one for now because it's not relevant. So let's try this again with Dimitri the Knight this time. Here we go. And let's see if Dimitri is able to, well, he's sort of able to get into the boat. I mean, we're clicking on it. Let's see what happens the next day. Okay, the animation's a little choppy. I mean, you could probably say that of my existing hero. Hero running around animation is also a little choppy. So I'm trying to remember where the whirlpools are. I think there's one up here somewhere. Let's see if we can visit the shipwreck, huh? Oh, there's a whirlpool too. So we are able to visit the shipwreck. We have a bug here with the artifact that I fixed. I fixed that since, but the artifact wasn't showing. Okay, it like... Huh. So that wasn't quite right. So it's sort of working on this. Okay, it did warp me down here, so it's strange that it warped me to the same... Maybe it warped me to, because there's two tiles here, maybe it warped me to the one right next to it. That's kind of an interesting quirk. And you'll also notice I have a bug here where my ship is down here, but I'm able to like route, because there's a clear water path, I'm able to route all the way here through this fog of war, whatever's going on there. So that's also something we need to probably add that to routes where we have a restriction on the fog of war. And I just realized that bug. I love doing these live videos of like demoing my own code because it is like dog fooding, and I discover bugs frequently that I did not discover when I was playing around testing it after doing the coding. So I just realized that this tile could, like this whirlpool tile could warp me to just the next tile over. And that's literally what just happened in the last instant there. So this worked relatively well. Minor bug with the event on the buoy. It's supposed to be a pickup tile. You should not be able to sail over it. Well, let's have a look at the buoy and see if that's the case here. Week of the Condor. Okay. Yep, it's supposed to be a pickup tile and not that. So, okay, well, we'll fix that. And then the whirlpool should trigger the warp and render just like the 0xA9 stone liths do. Take a look at the 0xA9 stone liths, teleport logic, and see if you can find the bug. The sound played great, and the re-render of the screen should happen while the sound plays. So let's just do that once more and see if we lose any more creatures. Actually, we lost... we did lose some. We got another one. All right, so ran through, fixed the buoy, fixed the whirlpool. It's pretty great. The route mapping should not cross under the fog of war. Fog Fog of War's tracked in game state. So it goes through. The ship movement cursor was still a little funny, so I threw in some more stuff like mouse and input and the adventure panel where I had some cursor logic. Made some updates, and there was still some funny stuff going on with the anchor. So this was my boat routing bug, Fog of War, and then cursor bug on boat, and then I have coastline cursor fixes, and then I have boat working is the name. I did a lot of builds between here and saved each one, but I'm just gonna skip ahead because basically it was just kind of some weird stuff. And then this last one here is for artifacts, monsters, obelisks, shrines, resources, recruiting structures, basically any sort of event tile. It's not really clear and landable. We did this for adventure spells for Dimension Door, and it needs to also not get the anchor. It needs to just be the default cursor 0000, and it should not allow the ship to land on the tile. See the image above where the hero is in the boat, but the mouse cursor is the default 00 when hovering over the treasure chest on the coastline. Can you make this minor change? So we'll go to Archipelago. See who we get. Fatana. Okay. So let's sail around and see where we can land with her. So that's okay to land. We shouldn't be able to land on some of those tiles. That looks okay to land. So here we're not able to land. I like to see that. And this is landing behind the L2 tiles. I don't know if that's actually correct or not. We're still going to be improving that somewhat. Let's just check if our buoy is now a pickup tile. Yep, it's a pickup tile. So that's correct. This is correct that we can't land in any of these places. But we can land there. So again, the ship now is a little funny in how it's docked, so there's definitely a little bit of work to do with the ship rendering logic. But that was that cursor, and something killed the anchor logic, so maybe we need to fix that. So we fixed that, and then I wanted to update all the game documents here, which is what I did. So, and apparently I also worked somewhere on Dimension Door. Let me see if I can build the castles really quickly, and probably should recruit another hero. How about Luna? And I'll just see if I can demonstrate what I fixed on Dimension Door, if we get it in this castle. So fingers crossed we get it. I'll demonstrate it if we do. Otherwise, I'll probably demonstrate it in another video. So we got View Heroes and Berserker. Okay, Cyclops Growth +5. Great. Nope, we got Town Gate. Well, I mean, I could demonstrate Town Gate also, just because it's fun. We may as well demonstrate something. And that worked.